Hey guys, it's Lynn from Back to the South, and we are finishing up that wood sign. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make stencils for your wood sign, just like I did in part one. However, now these words, they're going to go down vertical. So that means, of course, there's going to be a letter per row, so to speak, in one column. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So again, with my piece of wood, it was 5.5 inches wide. But because I don't like my words touching the edge, I like a little bit of space. I like to let them breathe a little bit. I am going to only use 5.25 inches. Now, the height of the piece of wood that I'm using for my sign is 72 inches. But again, of course, you guessed, I like some breathing room. So I'm only going to use 70 inches. Now, my word suite that I used in my previous video that I showed you how to make in part one, the height of that was 5.25. The width was 5.25. So y'all, we're about to have to do some math here, okay? So the height of the word suite is 5.25. I have to subtract that 5.25 from the 70 inches. And when I do that, I end up with 64.75 inch. Okay, I like to keep things really simple. And so in this case, I'm just going to round down. Now, granted, yes, I know that when we were in math, when we were in school and we took math class, they always said, if it's 5 or higher, you round up. But in this case, I'm rounding down because I want my numbers to stay simple. So if I go with 64, that's easily divisible by 2. And I don't have to worry about it. So I've got 64 inches that I have to use for my 2-word suite, or I'm sorry, my 2 words home. Now, when I take 64 and divide it by 2, that gives me 32 inches. So that means that I have 32 inches for my word home, and I have 32 inches for my word home. So again, remember, it's home sweet home. So it's going to be 32 inches for each word home. Now, if you are familiar at all with your Cricut, the largest mat that you're going to be able to find, I've heard of mats that are 30 inches. I just haven't seen one or come across one yet. So typically the largest mat that you're going to see is 24 inches. Obviously, that's smaller than 32 inches. So we're going to have to cut a few times and then piece it together, which is simple. Don't worry about it. We can totally do this. You can totally do this. So the first thing that we're going to do is we need to decide which font we're going to use for home. And actually, let me backtrack a little bit more. First, I need to, grab my square. And in this case, we are going to need to not have this be proportionate. So I'm going to click the little lock. I'm going to change this to 5.25. And my width, technically my width is going to be 32 inches, or I should say my height is going to be 32 inches. Now, we're very lucky in this case because 32 is easily divisible by 2. So that's going to be 16 inches. So I'm actually just going to make this 16 inches. I'm going to make the height 16 inches. In home, since that's only 4 letters, we'll do an H and an O, and then we'll do an M and an E. Now, we want to make sure, of course, that that's going to fit within our 32 inches. And of course it will, because we're doing 16 and 16. So I'm going to take this and I am going to actually duplicate it. And I can take duplicate. And now I've got my 2 here. Okay, now it is time to decide what font I'm going to use. So I'm going to click here for text. And I'm going to just type in capital letters because I want it in capital letters. It's entirely up to you, but I want my word home in all caps. So it's going to be H. Whoops, I thought I had my caps lock on. So it's going to be H, return O, and we're done. There's my H and my O. And then I'm going to hit the text again. And there's going to be my M and my E. Okay. So you notice with the M, I'm going to put this over here. With the M and the E, it's not centered. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hit alignment, hit center, and now they're aligned in their center. Same thing with the H and the O. I'm going to highlight them, choose my alignment of center, and now we're fine here too. It's H and O. Now, of course, these are pretty small, right? I want them to be a lot bigger because my sign is huge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose my font size and make it larger. There's a couple ways that you can do this. You can make it be proportionate. So if we just went here and chose the arrows and just brought them out until they were the same, that is an option. And if I brought this out a little bit more, because remember, this is the width of my sign and I still have a little bit of room left. So I can keep going actually. I'm going to scoot this up a little bit. Okay. So here we are. Now you're going to have to play with this. But this looks good, at least for right now. Now we're going to do the same thing with the M and the E, and we're just going to spread it out, or pull it down, I should say. And here we are. I've got some more room so I can keep on going, but remember, my M will not allow me to make this E larger. And as you can see, it looks a little strange, right? So this is when you have to make one of those decisions, and it's the same thing with an H. You can come back and you can make these separate. So I'll bring the H and the O over here. Whoops. I'll double click and I'm going to delete the O. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and just start over again because I want to show you from scratch. So I'll click delete. And we'll do this again. I'll click on text. I'll click my H. And I'll bring my H here. And then I'll make it a no. Okay. So this is my H and my O. Now, what I want to go ahead and do this time, because I realize that the size of the letters isn't going to match because of the letters I'm using, I'm going to go ahead and choose my font now because I should have done that earlier. So I already know the font that I want to use. It's called A Child's Year. A Child's Year is a paid font. I've already paid for it in a previous project, so that's why you don't see the dollar amount. It was either $4.99, I think it was. It was either $4.99 or $6.99, but again, it is a paid font. So I will go ahead and click on it, and now you see my H has changed. Same thing for the O. Okay, so there's my H and my O. And as you can see, they're a little bit more uniform than what they were. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the M and the E. So I will delete those. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do my M. And my E. All right, and the nice thing about this is that it follows the last font that you use. So I just use the Child's Year for the H and the O, and it just keeps that. If I want to change it, of course that I can. Now I want to bring my H and my O here because I want to see just how off they are. So I want to bring my O, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, but not much, because you still want this to be proportionate. You don't want the O so much bigger or the H so much bigger or any letter so much bigger that it looks weird. So I'm going to take this H and O and I'm going to choose a line and I am going to center it horizontally. So I don't know if you noticed, but the H and the O, the H scooted over a little bit to the right so that it was centered vertically. All right, I'm going to go ahead and group these. Now I'm going to bring my M and my E. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I want to see what it's going to look like as a whole. If it looks weird or funny, now is where I can catch it. So you can see my M is it's a little small. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Actually, I might make it a little bit small. And as you can, it's trial and error, y'all. Trial and error. I actually want to I'm going to ungroup this because I want to make this O a little bit bigger. Not much though. All right, let's see what we're looking like now. Actually, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And let's see the M, I almost said N. The M, maybe just a little bit bigger. Perfect. And then my E, I think that's a little bit much. Now here's the thing that I haven't showed you before. Within the letter, let's say, so for example, if I try to make this E to almost be the width of everything else, see how it's a lot fatter, right? And that's because the system is trying to keep the size proportional in width and height. In this case, I don't want that because I don't like the way it looks. The E is a lot fatter than the other letters. So in order to fix that, I click on the lock and now I can move this. I can make it taller. I can make it wider. And you see they're not related anymore. It's not proportionate. So that is a good thing. So let me get this proportionate to everything else. And that looks a little weird. So I'm going to bring it out a little bit, but I'm going to make it a little bit tall. Okay, I still don't like that. So I'm going to, there we go. Bring it out a little bit more. And let's just see what this looks like as a whole. I'm going to align all of this center horizontally. I think I want my H taller. And a little wider. And then we're going to do the same thing with the O. We're going to make it a little wider and a little taller. And same thing with the M. A little wider and a little taller. Now, you guys, one thing I will say is that it's not going to be perfect. It's just not. Because we're dealing with different letters, different heights. I mean, letters are letters. There's nothing you can do about it, but you can make it as close as you want. And it may not bother you at all. Again, personal preference. That's the one thing that I love about home decor. It's about what you like and what fits your style. Okay, for me, I think that's good. Maybe a little bit to the, yep, okay. Let's see what happens. I'll move this up here. Okay, we're good. I'm happy. Yes. All right. So I'm going to take the H and the O, select them and group. The M and the E, select and group. Now remember, this is not their actual height or width because we got to make them the size of the piece of wood. So now I'm going to take this and make it as big as necessary, or as big as I want it to be. Okay, there we go. And as you can see, because of the letters, I mean, you're not going to get all the way. Well, you could if you wanted to go ahead and ungroup these and then play around with the O to make it a little bit wider, you could. I'm not going to do that. Again, personal preference. I am going to scoot this down a little bit. Okay, there we go. Now here we are with the M and the E. Same thing. I'm just going to bring it down. And I can do it still some more. Okay, now here is the case where, see how much taller the H is compared to all of the other letters, like, and that is because of the fact of the letters that I'm using. So I'm going to ungroup this, pull the E down, and I'm going to bring the M down and bring it out a little bit. So see, now it's not so awkward. It doesn't look so weird. And same thing with the E. I'm just going to pull it down. Whoops. Okay. Yeah, much better. All right, I'm going to take my M, hold the shift, click on my E, and we're going to align horizontally. And I'm going to take the M and the E, group them back, and scoot this over just a little bit. And it's so faint, y'all. A little bit more. Okay, perfect. All right. Actually, you know what? Nope. Ungroup. I'm going to bring this in a smidge, because I need some space on either side. You got to remember, since it's a stencil, I need a little bit of room. Okay, that's better. So again, select the M, select the E, center horizontally, and group. Now, I think I want to make my O a little bit bigger. Gonna make it a little bit bigger. Scoot it over. Yep. All right, perfect. The H, the O, center horizontally, and group. All right, I am pleased with this. This looks good to me. I'm fine with it. Now we're gonna do our slice. So don't remember if you recall that in the first video when I was doing the word sweet. And before I do the slice, we want to also make sure that the letters are centered on the square. So same thing, I'm going to take both. I'm going to do align, center horizontally. Okay. And then I'm going to do align, center, align, center vertically. Okay, so it is smack dab in the center of that square, horizontally and vertically. I'm going to do the same thing with the M and the E. So align, center horizontally, align, center vertically. All right, now in order for them to cut the way that we want them to, well, actually, let me backtrack. I got a little bit ahead of myself. We've got a slice still. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to hide it. Whoops. Okay, so now we need to hide one of these so that we can get what we need to get our stencil. So I'm going to highlight the square, the E, and the M. All three should be highlighted, in which they are. I'm going to close this group up. For some reason that one didn't select, but we're going to click here and here. Okay, so we have our H and our O. I just want to do this real quick one more time. I always just like to make sure that everything is aligned the way it needs to be. Okay, so I will take my H and my O. I'm going to weld them together. All right, so that by welding them together, that made the H and the O one item. Now I'm going to select the H, the O, and my square and hit slice. And again, we have 3 different items. I don't need this. Well, let me get rid of all of them so that you can see. All right, so this is just the H and the O. I don't need that, so we'll delete it. This is the H and O again. That's not what I'm looking for either, so I'll delete it. Y'all, this is my stencil. Woohoo! That's my stencil. All right, so I'm going to hide this so that I can work on my M and my E. All right, same thing. I am going to take the H and the M. I'm going to weld them. Okay. Then I'm going to select the M, the E, and the square, and I'm going to slice them. And we have the same results. I've got an M and an E I don't need. I'm going to delete it. Another M and E. I don't need that. I'll delete it. And I've got my M and my E stencil. I've got my H and my O stencil. And you guys, there's my stencils. That is how I make my stencils for my signs and a lot of my other home decor and craft projects that I use. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching.